Let's take a look at some charts on Augur for this week's article on Brave New Coin. So Augur's been in development really for 5 years or more. And no matter how they describe it, to me, it's a decentralized betting platform, which is great. There are a few of these that already exist that are centralized. There's some betting capabilities on exchanges like FTX already, beyond just trading. So it's good to have a DeFi solution. Now, it's supposed to launch this month. We'll see if that happens as well. I won't hold my breath for the June 12th date, but we'll see. It's coming up. It's exciting. The improvement is going to be massive over version 1. Version 1 was a just straight up disaster. Version 2 looks good so far on the mock-ups. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen the beta release or anything like that to confirm this is what it's going to look like, but it looks very cool. I think it will see a lot of activity from a lot of people if it works. If it doesn't work, I don't know what to say, because at this point, it's been 5 years in development, one of the earliest ICOs, etc., 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 and nothing's really come out of it. So I don't want to be too pessimistic because we haven't seen version 2 yet. But it looks cool. It looks like something people would use. Here's an example of FTX, what they have, very simple presidential betting market. This was a while back at this point, but just an example of other competitors in the market. If we look at Augur's GitHub activity, you can see it's been very active over the past 5 years. So it's not like they've just been sitting on a pile of cash doing nothing. They've clearly tried. There's been an attempt here to make the platform better, to get the platform up and running. And like I already said, I think the new changes that are coming are going to be great, specifically being able to denominate the bets in DAI versus ETH. That way it removes the ETH volatility risk from the picture. So overall, I think they're doing probably the best job they can do as far as trying to get this thing up and running. Looking at the Augur smart contract activity from DApp Radar, it's gone to zero. No one's using it anymore. That makes sense. Version 2 isn't released yet. Version 1 is really unusable. So it's good that this is basically zeroed out. So any activity on version 2 launch should be, I predict it to be substantial, and I predict that it'll be continuously bullish and higher. I mean, DeFi couldn't be in a better place right now as an ecosystem. It's got continual issues. It has hacks every other week and things happen, but all in all, I think a lot of the experimentation that's being done is good for DeFi. It's not necessarily good for people losing lots of money, but it's good for DeFi. So to see this go to zero, fine. Version 2 is going to hit. We should see some activity. Total value locked in Augur, again, pretty relevant considering the platform is, no one's using it. So again, I expect this to just skyrocket once version 2 launches, but it's something to definitely watch to see if people are actually using it, if they like the product. That's the vote of confidence. Is there activity on the smart contract? Are there people holding money on Augur, that sort of thing? This is transactions per day in the line here and average transaction values in the fill. Again, pretty meaningless because all this is really showing is speculation or speculator activity. It's not showing smart contract activity or betting activity. We know that because we can look at those numbers and it's zero. So anything here is just people moving in between exchanges or getting ready for the launch, maybe buying. I don't know. That's speculation, but any of this stuff should be eclipsed by version 2 when it launches. This is NVT in the line here and monthly active addresses. Again, the addresses are going to basically zero or extremely low. I expect this to increase dramatically when the product launches. NVT is surprisingly low, so it says that even with the very little on-chain activity for REP, the token, it's actually underpricing the market cap right now. So it'll be interesting to see when version 2 launches, how NVT reacts to that. Because if NVT continues to fall, that should be even more bullish for the token. But we'll see what happens. The other thing about REP and Augur is there's actually not that many tokens circulating, as opposed to like BAT or ADA, which has billions of tokens circulating. Something interesting to consider as well. And I always like to look at the distribution of the pairs, and most of it is BTC, ETH, and USD. REP isn't really listed too many places. So definitely watch for listings to start happening once version 2 goes live. Looking at the chart, rep USD on the daily, 50 and the 200 is bullish. Yearly pivots look good for upside. VPVR looks good for upside. Not a lot of resistance on the way up. You'll see resistance at any even number, 15, 20, any of these prior local highs. Right now there's a bit of a bearish divergence, higher high in price, lower high in RSI, probably a volume divergence as well. So it wouldn't surprise me to consolidate here for a little bit, at least until version 2 launches, and then I expect at least some price activity, some response to that. I don't expect this to be buy the rumor, sell the news sort of thing, just because it's been 5 years in development and it's kind of held this level with version 1, despite having really no activity on the contract. So it's actually pretty funny that this hasn't gone to zero because it was an unusable platform. Looking at rep USD in a vacuum, this is very bullish. It's above the cloud, newly above the cloud. Cloud is newly bullish. TK cross is bullish, lagging span, peaking out above the cloud there, above price. So all this looks good from trend metrics perspective. And lastly on rep BTC, it had this head and shoulders, this really ugly looking head and shoulders at the bottom of the range here, which was mega bearish territory. You can see it's coming off all-time lows here. So the fact that this head and shoulders didn't actually go south is very good for rep. It says that there's at least some investor speculator confidence here. And again, trend metrics are trying to flip bullish again with price above the cloud. There's a ton of resistance up to the upside. So I don't expect anything massive to happen in the near term. It's got resistance at 002, massive resistance at 005. Tons of people who are probably long or holding from up here waiting to get out when it's back up into that zone. So although this looks more neutral bull than bear, I don't expect any massive bullish continuation long term, at least not until like a few years from now when version 2 is established and has some sort of activity.